when you are saying कि मेरे पास skills होनी चाहिए, जो skills आपको expect कर रहे हैं, but along with that you are also looking at consistency.
Consistency, exactly.
That shows my attitude, not just my aptitude towards skills.
You start seeing for the highest CTC that you can grab for the market. I think that is the very wrong mindset.
So candidate is doing this offer shopping and all, but at the end they are checking कि यार उसको अगले 2-3 साल मतलब peace of mind में काम करना है.
You might get an Ex-CTC at a Y organization, but the role can be only be support.
Third round interview face to face करता हूँ, वो भी मैं खुद ही करता हूँ मैं.
On date of joining, he said, I'm not joining because I have a higher offer from an X organization. Sure. He joined there and okay, the candidate dropped, everyone was upset about it. 6 months down the line, he calls me up कि if there is another opportunity, I would like to join Studio Graphene.
Generally मैं freshers को generally बोल रहा होता हूँ यार कि in the beginning, what you make in the first 2-3 years of your career, वो बिल्कुल irrelevant है.
When we are hiring for freshers, then they have not done a lot of projects, right? In the first round, we really understand what is his basic understanding of the coding. That comes from the data itself, right? I can't see your knowledge, right? What I can see is the project. What kind of a project you have done.
अगर आपने प्रोजेक्ट में डाल दिया रिएक्ट पे काम किया हुआ है, बट आप टैग में नहीं डालोगे स्किल्स में क्या है, तो डेफिनेटली क्या होगा ना, वो सीवी क्या होगा अल्टीमेटली वाया एआई एल्गोरिथम, वो सीवी क्या है एचआर रिक्रूटर तक पहुंचेगा ही नहीं.
AI will not replace you, but someone who can better adopt the AI can replace you.
And one of the biggest reason for somebody to be afraid of something is that they don't know what to expect.
I think one most important thing into when we look at a CV is it should be clean.
अगर मेरी इंग्लिश ठीक है तो मेरा एचआर unclear होगा, नहीं है तो नहीं होगा.
If you have just one project in 1 year, but that project that you have written is defined and you really know what the project is, you will be hired.
Let's say I have a commerce degree. I went to college and I did a BCom. Now I want to get into tech.
So I'm not from the tech background. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm an accidental, you can say, programmer. When I started my startup, Aptens, उस टाइम मुझे डेवलपर मिल नहीं रहा था.
Hi everyone, welcome to Coding Ninja's YouTube channel. This is Ankush and welcome to the new episode of Destination X. So यार तुम लोग मुझसे तो सुनते ही रहते हो generally कि क्या करना चाहिए हमें to improve our chances of building a great tech career. राइट कैसे स्टार्ट करें, रेज्यूमे पे क्या काम करें, क्या स्किल्स इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, राइट हम सब बात करते रहते हैं. बट टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू डू इज वी हैव टू अमेजिंग पीपल. लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड देयर पर्सपेक्टिव एज वेल, राइट कि क्या देख रहे हैं वो कैंडिडेट्स में करंटली व्हेन दे आर लुकिंग टू हायर. सॉफ्ट स्किल्स क्या चाहिए, हार्ड स्किल्स क्या चाहिए, एंड व्हाट इज द इंडस्ट्री सॉर्ट ऑफ मूविंग इनटू, राइट क्या ट्रेंड्स हैं अभी करंटली, व्हाट आर वी लुकिंग एट डिफरेंट सॉर्ट ऑफ स्किल्स, कौन सी स्किल कब इंपॉर्टेंट है फ्रेशर्स में, प्रोफेशनल्स में. लाइक लेट्स ट्राई टू डिग डीप इनटू इट एंड अंडरस्टैंड इन फार मोर डिटेल सो दैट वी कैन टेक आवर डिसीजंस कि किस चीज़ पे इन्वेस्ट करें, कैसे इन्वेस्ट करें, सो दैट वी आर एबल टू गेट टू द राइट स्किल सेट and get that amazing tech career. So we have with us Prabhat. Prabhat is currently a senior director of technology at Cars24. He has an amazing career so far. At Cars24, he's building a new vertical. Before this, he was running his own startup for many years, which he sold to one of the edtechs. Along with that, he has been a CTO at a Series B company. So I think his role, any CTO, anybody who is at such a senior role, automatically, I'm telling you, बहुत ज़्यादा time जाता है hiring के अंदर, right? So getting his perspective is going to be very, very useful. Along with that, we have Esha. Esha is an HR, right? हम जब भी hiring की बात करते हैं, हम tech skills की बात कर रहे होते हैं, but I think एक बहुत ही important component है and बहुत ही important person है who is sort of managing the whole thing, and like their perspective becomes extremely important. So let's try to understand that how are HRs looking at कि यार ये resume अच्छा है या नहीं है, ये candidate कैसे कर रहा है, and how do we sort of understand their needs and their sort of requirements. क्योंकि अगर HR खुश नहीं होगा तो अगर resume hiring manager तक नहीं पहुंचेगा तो फिर job तो नहीं लगने वाली है, right? So let's quickly sort of we'll understand that as well. Esha has been has 12 years of experience. She has worked at Droom for more than almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years. So I think Droom was like a 30 people company when she joined Droom, and now it's obviously a huge company. From last 3 years, she has been working at Studio Graphene and as an HR again. So we will again have a very wide perspective from how a senior tech person is sort of looking at hiring and how we get the HR perspective as well. And obviously, मैं जो तुम लोगों को generally बोलता हूँ, I'll try to add my expertise in terms of what I have seen, how hiring trends have been changing over time as well. Right? So let's quickly start. Prabhat, we'll start with you. If you can give us a quick introduction, that'll be great.
Thank you, Ankush, for inviting me. I'm Prabhat, and currently I'm working for Cars24 as a senior director of engineering. As Ankush mentioned, Cars24 was known for used car buy and sell, portal. But now we are also moving into the new car business, where people can come to our platform. They can, get the better experience while purchasing new cars. Now coming to this, hiring part and all. Currently, I'm building a solid team in Noida, and I'm spending around more than 6 to 7 hours on daily basis just for hiring process, interacting with the candidate, interacting with my recruiter, interacting with a different, you can say, agency who are actually providing the, right set of CVs and all. So I'll tell you, hiring the candidate is really a great challenge for, better company that you would be looking for. So there are some pros and cons that we are going to discuss more and more in this discussion. Please, how about you?
Hello everyone, I'm Esha, working with Studio Graphene currently, and my role here is onto the HR side. I'm taking care of the entire HR team here. So Studio Graphene is headquartered in London, but we have a delivery center here. We are into IT services and have been hiring only for the tech roles since I have been here. Previously, my role has been with Droom, and it was again hiring, and I worked as a business partner with them. But I will definitely want to tell the audience that it is important to start. I started as a trainer for Oracle, and now gradually I moved down to this role. And with HR, it's almost 10 years now that I have been into the HR
That means
role.
You started with tech, right? Oracle training में assume
Yes,
कर रहा हूँ कि
yes.
आप tech में train you were
Yes,
training in tech.
I am a certified Oracle DBA, and I did MCA, but somehow I did not wanted to go for the core coding because I thought that's not my core skill set, which I think I could not develop over time. So but I really liked the training part. So I started as a trainer with NIT, and then gradually into multiple roles. I am currently settled with the HR.
Perfect. So Prabhat, I think आपने पहले अपना startup run किया, right? Then you moved to Redcliffe Labs, which was basically like a Series B company. Cars24 relatively बहुत बड़ी है. So first thing that I want to understand is does the hiring requirement sort of change in terms of what skills I'm looking for as the company sort of moves from एक startup है फिर एक बड़ी company है, कितना change आता है in terms of requirement? Because when I look at interview processes out there, right, मेरे को लगता है बहुत difference है कि एक बड़ी company का जो interview process है एक छोटी company का जो interview process है. So what's your feel on this?
You rightly asked this question. Change होता है company के stage पे. Like the company, I'll give you the 3 journey here. So from last 13 years, I was a part of all 3 journey. I'm the part of this journey. So initial 5 साल एप्टेंस में था मैं, तो वहाँ पे मैं क्या देखता था कि यार बंदे ने जैसे the candidate who have actually started their journey, उसको मार्केट जो भी चल रहा है, जस्ट टेक एन एग्जाम, उस टाइम मैं बात करूँ, उस टाइम क्या था, फ्रंट एंड में काफ़ी ज़्यादा एंगुलर 7 एंगुलर 8 काफ़ी फेमस था. मतलब कोई भी अगर आपको एंगुलर एक्सपीरियंस है, यू विल गेट ए डिसेंट जॉब, डिसेंट सैलरी. वो हम लोग स्किल चेक करते थे उस टाइम. फिर व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड रेडक्लिफ लैब, उस टाइम क्या हुआ, रिएक्ट काफ़ी ज़्यादा मतलब बूम होना स्टार्ट हो गया. देन वी स्टार्ट एक्सप्लोरिंग कि यार कैंडिडेट के पास अगर रिएक्ट का अगर उसने प्रोजेक्ट भी किया हुआ है, कुछ अपना गिटहब में कोई रेपो डाला हुआ है जिसमें रिएक्ट में काम किया है, तो हम लोग एज ए हायरिंग मैनेजर हम लोग कैंडिडेट का गिटहब प्रोफाइल चेक करते हैं पूरा, सिर्फ प्रोफाइल ही नहीं, उसमें उसने कमिट कब कब किया हुआ है। गिटहब में बहुत अच्छा एक पार्ट दिया हुआ है कि यार जैसे ना कोई कैंडिडेट होता है ड्यूरिंग जब इस इंटरव्यू प्रिपेयर करना है तभी वो कोड कमिट डालेगा तो दिख जाएगा कि यार ये बंदा ना सिर्फ लास्ट 10-15 दिन से
एक हफ्ते पहले से ही बेसिकली सारा काम किया, उससे पहले
किया
नहीं
हुआ
करा।
है। और कुछ कैंडिडेट तो पूरा ग्रीन डॉट दिखता है, मतलब इसका मतलब थ्रू आउट लगभग 6 महीने 1 साल से लगभग उस पर काफ़ी एक्टिव है। तो हमारा प्रेफरेंस हमेशा होता था कि यार जब एक साल से लगभग बंदा गिटहब में इतना एक्टिव है, काम भी कर रहा है, कोड में मैं रिव्यू करता था खुद को, लगता था कि यार ये बंदा हमारे साथ ना काम कर लेगा।
सो आई थिंक अगर इसकी आपने 2 चीज़ें पॉइंट किया, राइट? हियर वन यू आर सेइंग कि मेरे पास स्किल्स होनी चाहिए, जो स्किल्स आपको एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं, बट अलॉन्ग विद दैट यू आर आल्सो लुकिंग एट कंसिस्टेंसी
एग्जैक्टली।
दैट शोज माय एटीट्यूड, नॉट जस्ट माय एप्टीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स स्किल्स, दैट शोज माय एटीट्यूड कि यार इस बंदे को सिर्फ जॉब चाहिए इसलिए एक हफ्ता पहले मेहनत नहीं कर रहा है, ये एक्चुअली 6-8 महीने पहले से लगा हुआ है टू लर्न फ्रॉम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ लर्निंग एंड नॉट जस्ट फ्रॉम की मेरे को जॉब अप्लाई करनी है अगले हफ्ते तो मेरे को वो करना है।
एग्जैक्टली
राइट।
I think it is very important, right, that as a candidate, tech skills are important because that's what you are being hired for. But आपके tech skills के साथ what additionally you are bringing into the company, right? One of the most important thing that candidates are lacking these days and company look for it is the integrity and loyalty. हम लोग कितना ज़्यादा पीछे न्यूज़ में रही हैं, these things, moonlighting, the candidates have been shopping for so many offers, right? So these are all questions onto the integrity, the loyalty, what kind of an work ethics you are bringing to the company. That is also very important. Like he said, ki consistency. Every company, especially when they are hiring for junior roles, they see कि हाँ आपके GitHub में क्या है, आपने क्या किया है. A lot of companies give you the assignments also. कि what is your current skill set in terms of excellence.
Yeah.
आप कितना कर पा रहे हो उस assignment को and कितनी पिक्सल परफेक्शन से कर पा रहे हो, राइट? वन इज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द असाइनमेंट एंड वन इज कि द वे यू हैव डन इट, कि किस टाइप का आपने कोड लिखा है, हाउ क्लीन इज द कोड, व्हाट आर द code writing practices that you have followed. So I think everything counts.
Yeah. So on this, right, you said you want to look at the integrity and of the candidate. So where do you draw the line here? Because I understand moonlighting. I think it's still sort of clear that you have signed a contract कि यार नहीं करोगे कहीं और, फिर भी आप कुछ और डबल काम कर रहे हो. That potentially is a problem because illegally also it is a problem. Yes. Why would you say that offer shopping, which basically means I am looking for a job. Right. I'm going to get multiple jobs. Yes. And I'm going to try the maximum, going to try to get the maximum out of it and get the best offer and sort of join there. So just want to understand your point of view on this, right? Like why
I'll
is that
tell
a
you.
problem?
See, I understand as a candidate when you start looking out, right? You start seeing for the highest CTC that you can grab for the market. I think that is the very wrong mindset. In the start of the career, you should be seeing not just at the right or the highest package, but at the right offer. When I say offer, you should not understand it in terms of CTC. Offer also includes the kind of a company that you'll be working at, what kind of a role you are getting into, right? You might get an X-CTC at a Y organization, but the role can be only be support.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
not going to grow or that's not going to take you anywhere, right? So it is important to understand when a company is giving you an offer, what exactly the offer includes. It should be the culture, the kind of work you are going to get, what benefits you are going to get, what is your learning, your growth, right? I think all of that should be your basis for an offer shopping versus just the
absolutely.
CTC.
Absolutely.
Right?
So,
I'll add a few points here. Again, on the basis of real experience only. Yesterday I had finalized one candidate. He was working for X company in Noida, and he had been offered by Y company in Gurgaon, and I'm hiring for Noida location. So I asked him, like, if you're already having offer, why still you are interested to join as a Cast 24? He simply said, I like the process of Cast 24, like the way they have handled this interview process. So first part was like, even though I'm the senior, I had the senior role here, I do take first round interview by me only. हार्डली आधे घंटे का इंटरव्यू होता है, मैं उस पर जज कर लेता हूँ बंदा एक्चुअली में मेरी टीम में आने लायक है कि नहीं है इसमें करके पूरा वहीं पे लगभग 90% बंदा तो वहीं पे निकल जाता है. फिर सेकंड राउंड मतलब I take this interview by one of our senior folks who are into that field बने. Like just take an example, अगर मुझे कोई रिएक्ट के बंदे को हायर करना है तो मैं रिएक्ट लीड को उसे अलाइन करता हूँ. थर्ड राउंड इंटरव्यू फेस टू फेस करता हूँ, वो भी मैं खुद ही करता हूँ. मैं फेस टू फेस वहाँ पे बस यही चेक करता हूँ कि भाई बंदे का बिहेवियर कैसा है, और एट द एंड दे आर गोइंग टू वर्क विथ अस, स्पेशली वर्क विथ मी फॉर नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 years. आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग कि 2 से 3 साल बंदे काम करे. उसको मैनेजर साथ कैसा कंपेटेबिलिटी है, मेरा कंपेटेबिलिटी उसका कैसा है, यानी लगता है वो बंदा काम कर पाएगा हमारे साथ कि नहीं कर पाएगा, वो सब सारा दोनों को ऑप्शन देता हूँ मैं. लाइक दे शुड ऑल्सो जज मी और आई शुड ऑल्सो जज हिम. तो ये प्रोसेस है ना, उस कैंडिडेट को काफ़ी अच्छा लगा. एंड लाइक ही हैज़ बीन ऑफर्ड बाय द कंपनी इन गुड़गांव 30% more than us. Still he would love to, or he is actually interested to work with me in you can say cast. So that sort of expectation has been changed from the candidate point of view. So candidate is doing this offer shopping and all, but at the end they are checking कि यार उसको अगले 2-3 साल मतलब पीस ऑफ माइंड में काम करना है, उसको कहाँ पे करे, सैलरी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है
मैच्योरिटी जो है ना, वो मैच्योरिटी आने में थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है. सो जनरली मैं फ्रेशर्स को जनरली बोल रहा होता हूँ यार कि इन द बिगिनिंग what you make in the first 2-3 years of your career वो बिल्कुल irrelevant है. बिकॉज फाइनली लाइक 6-7 साल के बाद जितना आप 1 साल में कमा रहे होगे उतना आपने पहले 5 साल में कमाया होगा पोटेंशियली, राइट. सो इफ़ यू गेट टू द राइट कंपनी, लोग साथ में अच्छे हैं, यू आर गेटिंग टू लर्न, that should be the main criteria when you do this. But I think understandably the first time you're making money you want to maximize it, right? Like you want to see, but over time I do see that all these factors become very important.
I have a very nice example to put out here. There was a candidate, we interviewed him almost 2 years back for a fresher role. He was selected through the entire process. We offered him and he was supposed to join on some date in December, and on date of joining he said, I am not joining because I have a higher offer from an X organization. Sure. He joined there and okay, the candidate dropped. Everyone was upset about it. 6 months down the line he calls me up ki if there is another opportunity I would like to join Studio Graphene. I said we do not have an opportunity right now. We had that and we gave it to you, versus I think it would be better if we would have given it to someone else at that point of time. And it's been almost 2 years now. Every 6 months he's been sending me his resume ki I think that was the mistake that I did dropping out from that offer, and now he wants to join Studio Graphene. And so it happens as a candidate, it is not the CTC, so you need to see each and everything.
No, absolutely. So perfect. So let's try and get back to the skills that everybody out there, right? Like most of the people who are sort of watching this are potentially either college students about to graduate or people who are looking for their first job or very early into their career, right? Like 1-2 साल 3 साल का experience and they're sort of looking for their first job. So from their perspective, I think एक doubt उनको हमेशा रहता है that should I put all my energy behind data algorithms? Should I put all my energy around building great projects? What should I do? And that's where I sort of wanted to sort of quickly want to go back to my original question as well, which is why is it that Amazon when hiring focuses so much on DSA, whereas startups when hiring will tend to focus far more on projects? And where does in this spectrum, where does Cars 24 or other unicorns sort of fit as well? So let's just quickly sort of answer this from the skills point of view that candidates are looking at.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting this point. I'll tell you, like for Cars 24, we haven't followed this process कि यार कैंडिडेट को ना जो हम जिसमें काम करवाने वाले नेक्स्ट 1 से 2 साल में जिसके साथ काम करने वाले हैं वो स्किल परफेक्ट होना चाहिए. टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ बैक एंड डेवलपर. जैसे हम बैक एंड डेवलपर में हम लोग अभी यूज़ करते हैं Node.js यूज़ करते हैं, जावा यूज़ करते हैं. नोड में भी अलग अलग, जैसे Nest.js एक अलग फ्रेमवर्क है, एक्सप्रेस के साथ लोग काम करता है API बनाने में, सब चीज़ करने में. तो फॉर नोएडा टीम, जैसे मैं अभी हायर कर रहा हूँ नोएडा टीम के लिए, तो वहाँ पे मैं देखता हूँ बंदे के पास स्किल्स क्या, उसके पास Node.js का अच्छा स्किल्स है या नहीं है, उसने अगर किया है तो कोई प्रोजेक्ट बनाया है कि नहीं बनाया है. सो ये सारा प्रोसेस मैं चेक करता हूँ, नॉट ओनली कास्ट 24 बट टू whom आई एम इन टच विथ आई एम टच विथ मल्टीपल यू कैन से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उसके जितने भी लीडरशिप है जो हायरिंग कर रहा है, सबसे हमारा डिस्कशन ऐसा ही होता रहता है कि यार हमें कंटेंट को कैसे अच्छे कंटेंट को कैसे लाना है ऑल। तो एक तो चीज़ हमारा क्लियर है कि लाइक इफ़ यू रिमूव दिस फंक कंपनी शॉर्ट में जैसे बताते हैं, दे आर फोकसिंग मोर इनटू DSA क्योंकि उसका एक सिलेक्शन क्राइटेरिया है ऑल। बट अगर उससे बाहर आप जाते हो तो देर आर एन नंबर ऑफ कंपनी जो प्रॉपर प्रोजेक्ट पे फोकस करता है, प्रॉपर आपका जो आपका स्किल्स है उस पर फोकस करता है और तुरंत इमीडिएटली आप बेनिफिट भी आपको मिल जाता है, इसमें हायरिंग में भी मिल जाता है। सो यू शुड ऑलवेज फोकस ऑन कि अभी इंडस्ट्री में ट्रेंड क्या चल रहा है। जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल, अभी जैसे जेन AI इज़ अ वेरी बज इन द मार्केट। तो एज ए यू कैन से फ्रेशर you should also explore, you should also create some sort of chatbot, जो chatbot जेन AI के थ्रू chatbot बनाना है, कैसे करना है। आई एम जस्ट गिविंग द वन एग्जांपल है यार, ऐसा और भी मल्टीपल यूज केस होगा। बिफोर अप्लाइंग टू एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यू शुड फाइंड कि यार ये जो कंपनी है, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल कास्ट 24 कंपनी है, तो डेफिनेटली देयर आर लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम कास्ट 24 ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व। ऐसा कुछ प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है जो एज ए डेवलपर यू वुड लाइक टू सॉल्व दैट प्रॉब्लम। At least you would like to, at least you should able to identify what sort of problem actually Cast 24 is trying to solve. क्या मैं उसको कैसे सॉल्व अपनी तरह से कैसे सॉल्व कर सकता हूँ बिफोर गोइंग टू इंटरव्यू, और मे बी यू कैन ड्यूरिंग इंटरव्यू आपको शो करना चाहिए यार ये हमने कास्ट 24 का प्लेटफॉर्म देखा, इस तरह से ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, आई कैन ऐड वैल्यू कि यार हम इसको अगर लेट से करते हैं तो कैसे हम इसको सॉल्व करेंगे। इस तरह का माइंडसेट के लिए आई रियली लव टू टॉक टू दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ पीपल।
सो बेसिकली व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज दैट एक तो प्रोजेक्ट्स एंड एक्चुअल हार्ड स्किल, लाइक एक्चुअल स्किल्स जिसके बेसिस पे हम फाइनली काम करने वाले हैं, विच इज डेवलपमेंट स्किल्स, नॉट जस्ट DSA. So that is one you are saying, like most of the unicorns even would sort of follow that process, which is great because अगर हम अभी देखेंगे कॉलेजेस के अंदर जनरली द ट्रेंड इज एवरीबडी वुड टेल यू DSA पे फोकस करो, डेटा एल्गोरिथम करते रहो, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग करते रहो, एंड यू जस्ट कीप डूइंग दैट फॉर 3, 4, 5 years विदाउट थिंकिंग ऑफ कि जब मैं सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट में जाऊँगा the work I have to do is actually very, very different. And I think second thing that you sort of talked about is that when I'm applying somewhere, actually doing the research about that company. मैं 100 जगह पे अप्लाई करके जेनरिक बातें कर रहा हूँ या wherever I've applied, I actually try and understand that company a little better.
I think that is very important, but also the point, it is important to understand. I'll just differentiate a little between the fresher hiring and the lateral hiring, right? When we are hiring for freshers, then they have not done a lot of projects, right? Someone who is doing some course like with Coding Ninja, they would have done multiple projects with you. However, when we interview them in the first round, we really understand what is his basic understanding of the coding. That comes from the data structure itself, right? So it is important to understand the basics. The bigger companies, when they hire you, because there are so many projects, there are so many roles that they have, so they see the basics of the candidates, which is the basic core of them, कि वो coding कर भी सकता है नहीं, when we onboard them, वो एक logic लिख भी लेगा कि नहीं, right? But the projects define what kind of a skill set you are bringing in, right? कि अच्छा आपके basics clear हैं, but आपने इन basics को ये 3 चीज़ जगहों पे लगाया है, right? You have done project A, B and C. So this really, because when I screen your CV as an HR, I can't see your data structure knowledge, right? What I can see is the project, what kind of a project you have done. आपने उस प्रोजेक्ट में क्या टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ किया, आपने नोड पे काम किया, आपने रिएक्ट पे काम किया, एंड वेयर हैव यू यूज्ड दैट. लाइक ही सेड दैट AI इज़ द न्यू थिंग. आई वुड सजेस्ट कैंडिडेट्स नाउ कि हम लोग बहुत सारी जगहों पे ये चीज़ें बात होती हैं कि AI विल रीप्लेस यू, बट आई थिंक AI विल नॉट replace you, but someone who can better adopt the AI can replace you. So for now, it is important that आप जो भी कर रहे हो, whether you are a back-end developer, you are a front-end developer, it is important to brush up your skills there, but understand and adopt the AI in your field so that you can increase your productivity. Because that is what the companies are looking for. Every company wants to be the part of the AI stream that is going on right now. And the leadership can't do it alone. They need the workforce.
No, I'm absolutely aligned on that. Like we actually had a conversation around this on our channel as well, where I was saying that it's not replace होंगे वो कब होगा. I think that's very
Very,
far
yes,
away
yes,
potentially,
absolutely.
and by that time it would actually create far more jobs for software developers because हम ही कर रहे हैं वो सब काम भी. But I think one thing that is very important for all of us to do right now as software developers is to use it to become more productive, become more efficient. And I think another great part is that if I want to use Gen AI in any way, right? If I want to build something in AI, I don't really need to know a lot of machine learning, a lot of AI right now.
Exactly,
I can use
exactly.
these tools to sort of build that capability into my app, and just need to use APIs, being able to
You just need the understanding, right? And you need to understand their potential. These are not here to replace you, but these are here to help you, maybe to project you as a better candidate, right? Someone bringing only the tech and interpersonal, and someone maybe -1 on tech skills plus interpersonal skill plus AI gives him a +2 edge, right? That's what the company's mindset are.
So I think one thing that you touched upon, right? Like you talked about कि मेरे को resume आया है. Now how do I sort of look at that resume and see कि इसको DS से आता है? I can see कि इसको projects आते हैं. Right? I don't know how, like looking at this कि DS से कैसे आता है. लिख दिया होगा कहीं पे कि हमने कहीं पे 350 problem solve किया, but still projects are far more visible. So let's talk about resume a little more, right? So couple of questions on resume. One is obviously, as somebody who does not have, let's say, 5 years of experience, how do I prove to you that I'm good? Right? That is one. Second, let's say I don't have a great background. One way to prove obviously is that I went to IIT and like I have this pedigree that I can prove. Let's say I don't have a great background. Now, what can I do to sort of really prove myself and stand out? So would love to sort of get a quick answer from both of you, but let's start with you. Let's understand the HR perspective first.
Okay. So I think one most important thing into when we look at a CV is it should be clean. A lot of people have a very cluttered CV, which becomes not readable. We get so many CVs. It is very difficult for us to read all these CVs, right? So someone whose CVs is cluttered, we'll just pass it by, right? Because I cannot understand what the person has written. So it is important to have a clean CVs, highlight your tech skills, see for spelling mistakes. A lot of CVs have spelling mistakes. So we generally reject those CVs to someone who cannot create a right CV, can't take it forward. A very interesting thing that I have seen in CVs, people do have their LinkedIn there, but then either the LinkedIn link that they have given on the CV is of someone else because they have used someone else's CV to create theirs, and the link is going somewhere else. And then what is written in the CV and the LinkedIn profile is not matching. There's something X there and there's something here. So these are the very basic, small things that the candidate should understand, that LinkedIn and CV should be in sync, because generally HRs, hiring managers, they go to their LinkedIn profile to see what kind of an activity they have done, what are these in line or not, to understand more about their organizations, right? So they go to their LinkedIn also. So very small things, but yes, very important. And then when they are highlighting their skill set, a lot of people are now full stack. There was a time when the companies were hiring for specialized skills into backend, front end. Then there was a trend of hiring for full stack. So most of the candidates are now full stack, but then they need to clearly define that while they are full stack, what is their core strength? Sure. You can be full stack, but your core strength would always lie either in backend or front end. So it is important to highlight those first and the lateral one the others, right? Then while you are defining your experience with an organization, it should be crisp. mention what technologies or what projects you have, what kind of a role you have done at that organization. That helps us understand that what you have been doing right now. For freshers, like a lot of audience are going to be fresher, again, defining the projects, what they have done, what they have studied through right now, their GitHub links should be updated, right? If there is a link. So all of this is very important.
See, this is, so don't consider that, so consider it from a perspective that I'm not creating my CV right now.
Okay.
I'll apply 1 year later. So what should I do now so that when I get to my CV writing, I have enough things to mention, right things to say, so that it becomes visible to you, right? What you are saying is that I need to make sure that the basic things are correct, right? Like, let's assume that that is there. Now, what do I do to begin with? What
think
sort of
most-
projects? How do I sort of like stand out?
So, see, there is, to be honest, there is no right way, Ankush. It is you, how you are building yourself, right? So you just need to work towards your technical skills. Definitely, if you are doing some project, if you are doing a course from somewhere for coding or something, you need to have that projection on the CV also, right? It's not like that you are doing a course only for a certification, because if you are doing a course only for a certification, in the interview you are going to fail anyhow. And I have seen so many candidates failing into the interview, having done 1 year of extensive coding courses with so many edtech organizations, right? So it is important that to prepare yourself for the interview, to prepare yourself for the industry, is to understand the basics, right? And put it down onto the CV. If you have just one project in 1 year, but that project that you have written is defined and you really know what the project is, you will be hired. Versus 10 projects and you do not know anything, right? So in that
Absolutely.
1 year, you might do one project, but to the core. You need to have that.
I actually strongly recommend that don't have 10 projects.
Yes.
Because as soon as you put 10 projects, you are leaving it to the HR on which project to read, right? I would rather put 1 or 2 and put my best foot forward, right? Like, and like make sure कि जो सबसे बढ़िया है, जिसके बारे में सबसे ज़्यादा मुझे understanding है. And even while building, I think if I'm building 10, automatically that means मैं start कर रहा हूँ.
Right.
मैं कहीं पे पहुंच रहा हूँ, फिर मैं उसको एक्सटेंड नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं रुक जाता हूँ, फिर मैं स्टार्ट करता हूँ. एंड स्टार्टिंग जनरली थोड़ी सिमिलर होती है, आसान होती है, बट एक चीज को लाइक स्ट्रेच करके एक बड़े लेवल पे लेके जाना, आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर.
But that's also show your commitment, right? If you are doing 10 projects in 1 year, it's like 2 months, and it's being like either you dropped it in between, or it can be there are some challenges and then you dropped it. Right? So it is important to show your commitment also. That's how, while we are hiring for literal, someone who has been switching the organizations every year, we screen reject them.
Here I would like to add a few more points. I have seen few candidates who are just watching the YouTube channels, like say for example some particular skills, and they put in resume. But my point of view, it should be like this one. Like let's say if you have watched a complete end-to-end tutorial from the YouTube or maybe some other channel like you should spend at least 10 times then 10 times on practicing that skills and all. Then only you will become a master of that skills. It's not like I spend X hours in YouTube and then I put it I practice for 0.5x and I put it in the resume. So anyway, as she mentioned, the moment you will enter this sort of skills in your CV, either HR manager or maybe hiring manager, they will ask you a lot of questions regarding this one. So in CV, जितना लिखा हुआ है आपने यार ये skills है, उसको अच्छे तरीके से you should be able to explain properly. दूसरा पॉइंट जो मैं बताऊंगा, क्योंकि अभी के टाइम में क्या है, लाइक अर्लियर आई थिंक 6 और 7 से अगो डिमांड कम था, डिमांड ज़्यादा था और सप्लाई कम था, लाइक इवन कोविड टाइम एंड ऑल. अभी के टाइम में सिनारियो क्या हो गया है, लाइक डिमांड इज ऑलमोस्ट कॉन्स्टेंट बट सप्लाई इज ह्यूज. सो हाउ एग्जैक्टली यू विल मेक योर CV visible to the hiring manager, to the HR recruiter and all. So like just take an example of InstaHire or maybe Naukri.com or maybe you can say LinkedIn and all. सारा सब लोग का CV सॉर्टिंग फिल्टर एंड ऑल होता है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ आपने CV में कौन सा टैग डाला हुआ है. लाइक लेट्स से स्किल्स आपने डाला रिएक्ट का, अगर आपने प्रोजेक्ट में डाल दिया रिएक्ट में काम किया हुआ है बट आप टैग में नहीं डालोगे स्किल्स में क्या है, तो डेफिनेटली क्या होगा ना, वो CV क्या होगा अल्टीमेटली वाया AI एल्गोरिथम वो CV क्या है HR रिक्रूटर पास पहुँचेगा ही नहीं. सबसे पहला ब्लॉकर वहीं खत्म होगा. डैट मीन्स व्हाट यू शुड डू, पहला CV में कोई भी स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक नहीं होना चाहिए जैसा इन्होंने मेंशन किया हुआ. दूसरा होना चाहिए कि सही तरह से एक जो सेट ऑफ फॉर्मेट होता है ना, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ टूल्स नाउ डेज इट हैज़ केम कि यार वो आपको CV कम्प्लीटली स्कैन करके बता देगा कि आप इस जो एल्गोरिथम है लाइक AI के थ्रू कि कैसे HR पर्सन के पास CV पहुंचता है, क्या क्या क्राइटेरिया होता है, उसको कैसे आप फॉलो कैसे आपका CV उसके अकॉर्डिंग है या नहीं है, कितना अगर है तो कितना परसेंट है. लाइक वी आर यूजिंग सम ATS. इस ATS में हमें बता देता है कि ये जो CV अपलोड हुआ है इट इज़ मैचिंग 60% टू द JD और नॉट, इज इट मैचिंग विद 70% और नॉट. सो एक कंप्लीट नंबर मेरे पास आता है. अगर किसी का CV अगर से 50% से मैच कम हो रहा है तो पहले ये स्टेप में क्या हो गया कि वो बंदा HR के पास आता ही नहीं CV. तो ऐसे बैरियर तो एक इनिशियल लेवल पे हो गया. तो डेट मीन्स आपको CV बना रहे हो तो ट्राई टू मैच विद द JD जहाँ अप्लाई करो. यू कैन क्रिएट एन नंबर ऑफ CVs अलग अलग फॉर्मेट में एज पर कंपनी रिक्वायरमेंट. ये हमेशा यू शुड ऑलवेज फोकस ऑन दिस पार्ट एज वेल. नो स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक, प्रॉपर टैगिंग, जिस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो वो CV का ट्राई टू मैच योर CV एटलीस्ट 70-75% विद द JD. ये पार्ट होना चाहिए इसमें. और बहुत ज़्यादा यूट्यूब मत देखो. आई एम रियली सॉरी.
I completely agree.
बट इफ़ यू आर वाचिंग देन ट्राई करो उससे 10x उस पर आप प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करो, उसको अप्लाई करो, तभी यार इंटरव्यू क्रैक कर पाओगे, अदरवाइज बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा.
नहीं, आई थिंक जितना आजकल कैंडिडेट सर्च करते हैं यूट्यूब टू फिगर आउट कैसे करना है, उतना टाइम अगर हम एक्चुअली करने में लगाएंगे तो दैट माइट एक्चुअली बी फार मोर प्रोडक्टिव. सो आई टोटली एग्री ऑन दैट. देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग इन द एंड like I don't feel bad about that. I would love to people to spend far more time learning than actually spending time on how to learn. So perfect. So अभी तक हमने so we have talked about in the candidate journey for a tech career, right? Like somebody who is looking to build a career in tech. So we've talked about resume, that what should we do, what we should avoid, and then if I want to outshine, like what I need to work upon. GitHub profile पे काम करना है, projects पे काम करना है, right? Like and mentioning focusing on quality and not on quantity. Then we also talked about in terms of interviews, we are saying that there are few companies still out there which are focusing a lot on DSA, but the majority sort of companies tend to focus far more on dev skills and how good you are on those skills. That's what they're going to focus upon. But I think in sub process के end में एक आता है HR round. That generally developers are super scared of.
Right. I would agree.
So I think like people are, and one of the biggest reason for somebody to be afraid of something is that they don't know what to expect. What is expected out of them? That's generally the clarity is not there. तो उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. ठीक है. सो आप मुझे थोड़ा हेल्प करो समझने में. अभी तक मेरी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है फ्रॉम अ कैंडिडेट्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, उनको लगता है HR राउंड विल चेक फॉर, बोलते कल्चर है बट कम्युनिकेशन चेक करेंगे. कम्युनिकेशन का मतलब है इंग्लिश चेक करेंगे. एंड अगर मेरी इंग्लिश ठीक है तो मेरा HR राउंड क्लियर होगा, नहीं है तो नहीं होगा. क्या ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग ठीक है? आई एम होपिंग ठीक नहीं है बट
नहीं है, एक्चुअली नहीं है. सी, HR राउंड इज नॉट जस्ट टू चेक योर इंग्लिश, राइट? We understand your English already while you have been interviewing with multiple panel, right? Because you have been explaining what you have been doing. That's already give us an idea about your English. When I meet a lot of candidates, they come with a rata-rataya answer. Ki, okay, if I ask them, why should we hire you? Or what do you think you will bring down to the organization, right? तो वो एक बड़ा ही स्टैंडर्ड एक आंसर होता है जो वो गूगल पे सर्च करते हैं और वो पढ़ के आते हैं. बीच में कोई वर्ड भूल जाते हैं तो फिर दे स्टार्ट थिंकिंग दैट वर्ड कि अच्छा वो वर्ड ये था, एंड देन तो वो नहीं करना है. The HR round is to understand what you are or who you are. आप क्या हमारे कल्चर से, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कल्चर से फिट हो पाओगे या नहीं. फॉर वेरी स्मॉल एग्जाम्पल, जनरली HR asks, why are you switching your company? A lot of candidates try projecting the negative aspect, right? कि मेरा मैनेजर अच्छा नहीं है, क्यों अच्छा नहीं है, वर्क प्रेशर बहुत है, वीकेंड्स पे काम करने के लिए बोल देता है, या कंपनी 9 घंटे काम करने के लिए बोलती है. आई थिंक फॉर मी एज एन HR, आई थिंक कि अगर इसका थोड़ा सा भी क्लैश हो गया यहाँ पर, इट विल डिस्टर्ब माई करंट कल्चर, राइट? सो इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट कि while you are talking to HR or anyone onto the panel, to first project the right or the positive experience of your previous organization, because someday I will also be your previous organization, right? So you should highlight the positive experiences that you have. You always have some reason, growth, financial growth, your personal, there can be multiple reasons, but then it is important to understand it or highlight it in a positive way. That's one very important thing. Then what commitment you are bringing down to the organization, that's important. So as a package, HR do not evaluate on your tech skills, but yes, definitely on your interpersonal skills. Ki, if I hire you, how long do I see you in my organization? Someone, if I see ki this candidate might leave the organization in 1 year because he's or she is too a kind of a candidate who is कि उसको तो बस सब कुछ ही 1 साल में ही कर लेना है, right? So I will not have that kind of a candidate because it will not fit it with my culture. The candidate will not fit in. So it is important कि आप वहाँ पर इंग्लिश मत याद करके जाओ. You go as you, right? I think that's what is important in that.
I'll add few point here. जब हम लोग फाइनल राउंड करते हैं तो इट्स नॉट ओनली फॉर HR, बट हम लोग हायरिंग मैनेजर के साथ भी कैंडिडेट को कनेक्ट करवाते हैं. रीज़न क्या है कि एट द एंड कैंडिडेट को हमेशा हायरिंग मैनेजर के साथ ही काम करना है फॉर नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 years इन ऑल. HR अगर मैं देखा, अगर शॉर्ट में समझो, जैसे कल्चर है वहाँ पे हर एक कंपनी में होगा, तो HR का काम, जैसे HR में भी 3 तरह का अलग अलग रोल है. एक रिक्रूटिंग टीम, दूसरा मतलब HR ऑपरेशन टीम, एंड थर्ड इज हु आर एक्चुअली डीलिंग विद यू कैन से योर इंक्रीमेंट प्रोसेस, योर फीडबैक, इच एंड एवरीथिंग एंड ऑल. तो हायरिंग, अगर हमें हायरिंग मैनेजर की बात करूँ मैं, तो वो रोल उसका वहीं ख़त्म होता है जब जिस दिन बंदा ज्वाइन कर लिया यहाँ पे कंपनी में, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, रोल ख़त्म हो गया. वहाँ रोल, इसके बाद फर्दर रोल स्टार्ट हो जाता है हायरिंग मैनेजर. तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हायरिंग मैनेजर, HR, कैंडिडेट तीनों एक साथ बैठाते हैं. और क्योंकि देखो मोस्टली किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कम्युनिकेशन हमेशा, अगर रिटन कम्युनिकेशन की बात करूँ, वो हमेशा इंग्लिश में होता है. बट अगर वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन हो गया, कोई प्रॉब्लम से डिस्कशन, वो हमेशा हिंदी में होता है यार, हिंदी में, या फिर कोई भी रीजनल लैंग्वेज. जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल, बैंगलोर, वी हैव ऑफिस इन बैंगलोर एज वेल. तो वहाँ पे हायरिंग मैनेजर हो सकता है कि वहाँ का रीजनल लैंग्वेज को अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो, तो वो अगर कोई कैंडिडेट हायर करता है तो हमेशा उसमें डिस्कस करता है, ताकि क्या हो जाए कि 90% टाइम वो प्रॉब्लम फोकस करे, ना कि इंग्लिश पे. तो एज सी राइटली मेंशन्ड, हम लोग इंग्लिश में कभी जाते ही नहीं है डिस्कस. जब भी इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस था तो ठीक है, जैसा चल रहा है इंग्लिश में हम लोग बात करते हैं, ताकि उसे भी बंदे का कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल पता चल जाता है. द मोमेंट ही इंटर्स इन द फाइनल राउंड एंड ऑल, हम लोग चेक करते हैं उसका कि जैसे बताए हु एक्चुअली ही इज़ और सी इज़, कि वो कैसे अपने आप को कैसे कितना प्रेजेंट कर रहा है एंड ऑल. एंड वन मोर थिंग एज सी हाईलाइटेड, आई एम ऑल्सो फॉलोइंग द सेम थिंग, कि अगर कैंडिडेट कोई कैंडिडेट अगर आता है हमारे पास, तो ये बोलता है कि पिछले कंपनी में उसके साथ ये प्रॉब्लम हुआ और निगेटिव पता है, ये हमारे लिए रेड फ्लैग है, कि हम उसका फर्दर उस कैंडिडेट को फिर फर्दर ट्राई किया उसको हायर ना करूँ, क्योंकि क्या होगा, हो सकता है 1 महीने 2 महीने बाद फिर से दोबारा सेम ही वैसा कर जाएगा. इसके बाद एक और हमारे पास काफ़ी अच्छा प्रोसेस है. ईच एंड एवरी कन्वर्सेशन जो कैंडिडेट के साथ होता है, वो हम लोग एक ATS में मेंशन रखते हैं. जब भी जैसे फर्स्ट राउंड हुआ, क्या कम्युनिकेशन हुआ हायरिंग मैनेजर के साथ, कैंडिडेट के साथ, किस तरह प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट दिया गया था, उसने कैंडिडेट को कैसे आंसर बताया, वो हम नोट करते हैं, इच एवरी स्टेप्स. अगर फाइनल राउंड में अगर मैं बात करूँ एज ए मैनेजर में बात करूँ, मैं सारा कम्युनिकेशन देखता हूँ कि कैंडिडेट ने पहले क्या बोला था, क्या उसका सैलरी एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या था, लोकेशन एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या था, वेदर दे वर लुकिंग फॉर वर्क फ्रॉम होम या फिर हाइब्रिड या फुल टाइम ऑफिस एंड ऑल. उसने कुछ कंपनी के बारे में, पुरानी कंपनी में कुछ अच्छा बोला था या ख़राब बोला था, क्यों चेंज कर रहा है, सबको कोरिलेट करते हैं एंड ऑल. फाइनल जाके देखते हैं कि यार अच्छा ठीक है, फाइनल राउंड है डिस्कशन, अगर आर दे अलाइन विद दिस प्रोसेस और नॉट. क्योंकि जो जनरली कंपनी लाइक अस देयर आर 4 or 5 राउंड ऑफ इंटरव्यू. एच एंड एवरी स्टेप्स में हर एक स्टेप्स में 4 से 5 मतलब टोटल देखा जाए तो 4 से 5 स्टेप्स हम लोग इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस में लगाते हैं। तो कहीं अगर कैंडिडेट अगर लेट्स से कि थोड़ा सा भी अगर वो अपने आप को नेचुरल तरीके से डिफरेंट तरीके से प्रेजेंट करता है, वो इस प्रोसेस में पता चल जाता है। तो वी जनरली try to avoid that sort of content.
So what we are saying is it's not about English. It's more about understanding the person's कि इसकी preferences क्या है, reasons क्या है, generally what is important for them, और every mindset क्या है. So we try to understand कि उसके basis पे whether they will stick around long enough with us or not, how hard it will be to work with them.
Also the flexibility of the candidate, right? Sometimes, suppose I am a developer, a mobile developer. I'll give you a very classic example. I am an iOS developer. So iOS developers have this very, that strong attitude that I am an iOS developer, I'll not do anything else, right? Because this is a trend of hybrid apps, right? So companies do hire for React Native, right? So if you are an Android developer, you'll see a lot of Android developers who have been moved down to React Native. They'll be comfortable working in both. I hope you would agree. But for an iOS developer, he'll not do React Native. I will do iOS, right? So this is just one example. But yes, there are candidates who do not want to do anything else into backend also, into front end also. So we also see the flexibility of the candidate, that how much he is ready to grow in his role, because only doing one thing, you will one day hit the ceiling, right? So you need to create a room for yourself, a growth area for yourself. So how much a candidate is flexible to grow within the organization and with the organization is also important that we understand.
So you said one thing, that HR round is not for English.
Yes.
But you said that English तो already test हो चुकी है पहले 3-4 उसके अंदर, right? So just want to add on that, right? Like so for example, जब मैं interview कर रहा होता हूँ किसी को, my general sense is I'll start with English, and I'll get a sense यार ये बहुत ज़्यादा comfortable नहीं है English में, and I'll quickly move to Hindi, because in the end if they are trying to explain or answer whatever I want to understand, and along with that they are struggling कि यार ये इंग्लिश की एक और लेयर ऐड हो रही है उसके ऊपर, जनरली दे विल नॉट डू देयर बेस्ट. सो आई विल ट्राई टू सॉर्ट ऑफ मूव बैक, लाइक, एंड व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग यू दिस इज, आई थिंक यहाँ पे एक पर्सपेक्टिव आएगा फ्रॉम बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ अ सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनी versus being part of a product based company. I think वहाँ पर potentially एक difference आएगा. So just want to understand your perspective on this service based company versus product based company perspective.
I was about to answer this even without asking, because see, in a product based company, suppose it's an Indian company, you will have an internal communication, and we use Hindi as a language, or whatever the regional language is, right? So you do not have a lot of challenge, or while you're hiring for the candidates in terms of communication and English here, I'm talking about, nothing else. While in a service-based setup, because there are a lot of clients who are not part of India, and then English become the basic language to communicate to the client. So there are two things. If you are hiring for a candidate, right, maybe a senior software engineer who will be talking to the clients, then English becomes an important aspect कि एक basic understanding तो होनी चाहिए. Then there is another perspective here. If my one team is in London or my one team is out of India, then again, if I have to talk to my team also, I need to know English because they do not know Hindi. So for an service-based company, English definitely become important कि आपको एक basic तो आनी ही चाहिए. Otherwise, a lot of such candidates get rejected into the HR or recruiter screening, I would say, because for an IT services, this becomes the core communication.
And
right?
we're not talking about you being like absolutely fluid.
Right.
We are talking about being able to
just communicate and explain, right? If my counterpart of my team is based out of some X location which is out of India, and if I have to communicate to the person about my project, if I don't know, if I don't have the basic communication language is not same. How will I communicate? How will I understand the project requirement? How will I tell that other person that what I have done or what I have not done? So at least the ability to be able to explain yourself, right? The basic ability to be able to talk. Not, it is not about using some fancy English words or being very fluent with English, but it is just being able to explain yourself.
Sure. No, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I can totally understand, like if you have to talk to clients, then automatically that language becomes automatically important. So now that we are talking about the difference between service and product-based company and how this becomes sort of important from an English point of view, I think that angle sort of comes in another area, which is where I want to sort of get in. In the current scenario of tech hiring, how important is skills? How important is degree? How important is what college you are coming from? Right? Like, so whatever your background has been and what skills you have sort of gathered on the way, how do you sort of like when we are hiring people, how do we sort of look at these two angles and which one is more important, which one is less important? And is there like some cutoff that at least NIT से तो होना चाहिए तभी मैं करूँगा, right? Like what's the view on this, like that this degree versus skill sort of a, it's not really versus I would say, but like what's the view on degrees and what's the view on skills?
Yeah, so as per my point of view, it has a different prospect for different roles. If you talk about developers, I would say, so as per me, degree is not that much important because ultimately they have to perform coding and all for developer. अगर वो कोडिंग में अच्छा है काम कर रहा है तो डिग्री का बहुत ज़्यादा वैल्यू नहीं होना चाहिए फॉर माई पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. इनफैक्ट व्हेन आई वाज हैंडलिंग माई टेक स्टार्टअप, वहाँ पे कई सारे बंदे थे जो 12th पास भी थे, 12th पास किया था और वो किसी रीज़न से वो मतलब कॉलेज कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाया या फर्स्ट ईयर में सेकेंड ईयर में है और कॉलेज वो डिस्टेंस लर्निंग से कर रहा है. हमने उसको भी ऑप्शन दिया और उसने काम अच्छा काफ़ी ग्रो भी किया. सेम फॉर रेडक्लिफ एज वेल. वहाँ पे 2-3 ऐसा कैंडिडेट था जो फाइनल ईयर में जाके एक सप्ली लगा हुआ था, वो अटक गया वहाँ पे, आगे वो कंप्लीट नहीं कर पा रहा था. अब वो या तो वो 3 साल वेट करके वो क्या करता, वो डिग्री कंप्लीट करता या फिर हमारे साथ काम करता और कंपनी. तो हमने उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी दी और यू वोंट बिलीव कैंडिडेट ने बहुत ही अच्छा काम किया. मतलब देखा जाए तो his work was almost equivalent to an IITian who were actually in my team. So I used to hire from all university, from all IITs, even from the tier 3 tier 4 colleges as well. So फंडा मेरा ऐसा था, I'll be very frank here. जैसे हम लोग कोई टीम बनाते हैं ना, टीम में मान लेते हैं 10 लोग हैं. हमारा टारगेट रहता है कि 10 में से 3 बंदा काफ़ी स्मार्ट बंदा होना चाहिए. रेस्ट 7 पीपल क्या होना चाहिए. अगर एवरेज बंदा भी है ना तो प्रोजेक्ट को निकाल लेगा बंदा लोग, क्योंकि 3 पीपल विल लीड द रेस्ट ऑफ द 7 पीपल. तो 7 पीपल में क्या है कि हम या तो tier 2 tier 3 या फिर एवरेज बंदा है उसको भी हम लोग कर सकते हैं. रिमेनिंग जो टॉप 3 है उसको तो नो डाउट उसका कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स अच्छा होना चाहिए, एल्गोरिथमिक स्किल्स अच्छा होना चाहिए, कोडिंग स्किल्स अच्छा होना चाहिए, साथ साथ लीडरशिप भी अच्छा होना चाहिए. तो इस तरह से
पेडिग्री भी अच्छी होनी चाहिए,
वो भी या नो डाउट वो भी अच्छा होना चाहिए.
I think a degree is very important because the degree is not just to help you learn the technical skills, क्योंकि वो तो आप anyhow on job सीखते हो. Degree is kind of a commitment that every day you are going to college, every day you are showing up there, you are completing a project, means that's a kind of a commitment you are showing for next 4 years. And that gives an organization a confidence that कि अच्छा इसने 4 साल की इंजीनियरिंग करी है, रोज़ कॉलेज जा रहा है, रोज़ वहाँ पे अपनी प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहा है, he has done this और ठीक है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आप 90% प्लस हो, 80% प्लस हो, बट येस एक एवरेज कैंडिडेट की मैं यहाँ पर बात करती हूँ बिकॉज दैट्स वेयर द बिगेस्ट पूल ऑफ द कैंडिडेट्स लाइज. वो एज अ HR मुझे और एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजर इट गिव मी कॉन्फिडेंस कि अगर वो कॉलेज जा रहे हैं तो ऑफिस भी आएगा, राइट, दैट द कैंडिडेट इज कमिटेड टू समथिंग. एंड सी टेक स्किल्स आर डेफिनेटली इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट बहुत सारी कंपनीज का एक major screening है कि if you are not graduate, you can't even sit for the interview. Like I was saying, कि it is important, right? That the degree gives you that professional setup, wherein it becomes important for the degree. And side by side, you need to have those technical skills. So I think there should be a balance, yeah, which is important.
So, see, what you're saying is that degree helps me, degree gives you the comfort that the person
Yeah.
has the commitment and sort of. Let's say I have a commerce degree. I went to college and I did a BCom. Now I want to get into tech. Do you think that's going to be a problem and I have done all the hard work, I have the skills. And again, I think why I was saying that this might be connected to our initial conversation around services versus product.
Yeah.
So if you think there is a concern around that, like would love to sort of understand your.
See, if you have done commerce and then I've come across a few candidates who have a non-tech background in terms of education, and while now they want to move down to the tech side. So either you would have done some very extensive 1-year plus course for the for understanding the tech skills, right? So that candidate would definitely be evaluated on two things. One, what the kind of projects that the candidate has done, and what is the experience the candidate is bringing. If the candidate is fresher, right, just doing the course or have just done the course, sometimes the hiring managers or are maybe as a recruiter, I talk to the candidate, I like the candidate. Sometimes the hiring managers get apprehensive of hiring such candidates. But yes, few hiring managers are very liberal in this sort, right? And they would go ahead and, happy to have the first conversation rather than the panelist talking to them. They'll go ahead and try and having the first conversation and understand the attitude also of the candidate. कि okay, एक साल में ये पढ़ा है, कितना पढ़ लिया है, where he is right now. क्योंकि see, it is important. क्योंकि अब आपको, अगर आपने पहले कभी टेक रोल नहीं किया, मतलब आपका वो माइंडसेट नहीं था कि आप वो कर सकते हो. यू डू नॉट हैव दैट कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन योर सेल्फ. बट नाउ इफ यू थिंक यू आर मूविंग देयर, तो ऑब्वियसली आपको एक टेक बैकग्राउंड वाले कैंडिडेट से ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी.
Absolutely agree on that, right? I think
ऐसा नहीं, yeah.
every time somebody comes and question me that मेरे बैकग्राउंड में ये इशू है, मैं बीकॉम से हूँ, मेरी 4 सप्ली हैं, right, or anything else,
right?
Generally my answer to them will be, this has to be your strength कि यार ये problem है, so now I'll have to work double hard compared to any person with the right sort of background.
Exactly.
To actually outshine them.
Absolutely.
And actually showcase as somebody who
Right.
people will want to talk
Exactly, right?
Yeah. I'll also add here. So I'm not from the tech background. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm an accidental, you can say, programmer. When I started my startup, Aptens, उस टाइम मुझे डेवलपर मिल नहीं रहा था. तो फिर और हमें मेरा इन्वेस्टर था, उसे दिखाना था, एक बीटा वर्जन दिखाना था. तो आई सिंपली गूगल किया, यूट्यूब में कई सारे चैनल देखा, उसमें प्रैक्टिस किया. जैसे मैं बताया, 1 घंटा देखना और 10 घंटे प्रैक्टिस करना. 2 महीने के अंदर वो कोडिंग सीख लिया और प्रोडक्ट बनना, बीटा वर्जन प्रोडक्ट बनना स्टार्ट हो गया. हाँ, उस टाइम नो डाउट आई टुक हेल्प फ्रॉम माई लाइक फ्रेंड्स जो इसमें IT में था. तो हमने टेक्नोलॉजी सिलेक्शन कैसे, पहले हमने वर्डप्रेस सोचा था जो बहुत आसानी से कोई भी कर लेता है. फिर हमें फ्रेंड से डिस्कस किया कि कैसे करना चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए. तो देन वी सेलेक्टेड पाइथन जैंगो. पाइथन सबसे इजी लैंग्वेज है फॉर एनी नॉन टेक बैकग्राउंड पीपल. तो मैं सीखा और आज के टाइम में नो डाउट आई हैव मल्टीपल स्किल्स. बट सो नाउ कमिंग टू द पॉइंट दैट यू हैव आस्क्ड कि हम जब CV शॉर्टेज करते हैं तो उस टाइम देखना चाहिए हमें कि यार टेक्निकल बंदा है, लाइक कॉमर्स, BCom, मे बी माइनिंग, और अगर इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री है, अगर नॉन डिग्री, नो डाउट कंपनी देखती है, HR भी देखती है. बट एज ए हायरिंग मैनेजर मैं कभी उसको नहीं देखता कि यार बंदे को मतलब कहाँ से बीटेक किया हुआ है, कहाँ से कॉमर्स वॉटेवर, कहीं से अपना कोई भी ग्रेजुएशन किया हुआ है, बंदे ने कौन सा काम किया हुआ है. दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग फॉर अस.
प्रोजेक्ट्स अच्छे हैं या नहीं है, एक्चुअली काम अच्छे से किया हुआ है या नहीं किया. क्योंकि मैं भी सेड राइट, आई थिंक स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स को तो सभी सीखना पड़ता है. सो अगर आप मुझसे पूछोगे कि सो आई वाज अ टेकी, राइट, मेरे को सिर्फ डेवलपमेंट आता था. एंड सिंस व्हेन आई हैव स्टार्टेड, आई थिंक नाउ आई वुड से आई एम रियली गुड एट सेल्स, आई एम रियली गुड एट मार्केटिंग एज वेल. people management सीख गए हैं, so like as a startup founder
Yeah,
you
yeah.
will have to learn
Founder
everything
should
from
be all rounder.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So quickly moving on to two things that I want to sort of make sure that we cover. बहुत सारे लोगों के दिमाग में ना अभी रहता है, अभी अगर हम ट्विटर पे देखेंगे या लिंक्डइन पे देखेंगे तो मुझे दो टाइप का ज्ञान मिलेगा एज अ न्यू पर्सन गेटिंग इनटू टेक. वन एंगल विल बी कि यार अगर मुझे थोड़े कम भी पैसे मिल रहे हैं बट इफ आई कैन डू वर्क फ्रॉम होम आई विल सेव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी. तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम करो, है ना, यू कैन लिव क्लोज टू योर पेरेंट्स, पैसा कम मिल रहा है बट खर्चा बहुत कम हो रहा है. The other side that I'll get is that you should go to office. That's where you learn. A lot of other things will happen. So, and people are very, very passionate about both the opinions, right? People who are passionate about work from home are very, very passionate about that, and the other way around as well. What do you guys think about that? What are your companies doing, and what do you think about this? What are the pros and cons of both? I would like to add my perspective as well on this, but like first I would like to listen from both of you.
So see, right now I would see, especially after the COVID has happened, the candidates have this mindset कि let's work from home because remote is the best option that gives you a comfort कि हम कभी भी उठ सकते हैं, 11 बजे उठे, 12 बजे उठे, सोते सोते एक स्टैंड अप कर ली, सुन लिया कि वो क्या कह रहे हैं, कैमराज ऑफ हैं, we are not dressed up, doesn't make a lot of difference. And then बीच में घूम आए, 4 घर के काम कर लिए, 2 रिश्तेदारों से मिल लिए. So I think that is the mindset of the comfort that people do not want to go out. But if you see in the long run, especially as a fresher, it is important for you to go out in office, be into that setup, right? घर में आप मम्मी पापा से तो इतने सालों से ही मिल रहे हो, उनके साथ ही रह रहे हो, you're growing up with them. But when you go to office, you meet people at one, your peers, you meet your seniors, and that gives you a perspective also कि आपको कोई issue है, it is easier to walk to that person and talk. You go down on your sutta breaks, on your coffee and tea breaks, and you talk not just about office but other things. I think for your overall professional growth, it is very important to go for an office. Right now, while we are hiring, one of the major challenge that we have is a lot of candidates look for the only remote option. Yeah. I think you should be flexible here. A lot of organizations have found out a midway where you can have a little comfort and then also go to office, which is the hybrid thing, which is the very much in thing the companies are adopting. Few companies are very strict about it, a few are a little liberal about it. We are currently working in hybrid mode, and we are very clear with the candidates that it is a strict hybrid, and if candidate is not comfortable with hybrid also, so we have been screen rejecting the candidates. So my message to the people who are looking out right now, it is important to go to office. This is the new thing, the remote thing that we have here, but I think in a longer run, when you think of your own development, कि 2 साल घर बैठ के आपकी क्या development हुई है? There is no development at all. Right? You have not been stepping out of your one room. There is no line that you have drawn between your office space and your home space. कि काम a lot of tech people, especially developers say कि हम लोग घर पे बैठ के ज़्यादा productive होते हैं, कि हम 10 बजे तक काम कर रहे हैं, 11 बजे तक काम कर रहे हैं. अरे organization is not asking you doing that. आप office timings में काम करो ना. Right, which is important to create that line and that difference, because you also need to have that peace. आप काम करते करते सो जाते हो और सोते सोते काम करते करते उठ जाते हो, right? So there is no line that. So that's also come as time management, right? You need to prioritize, you need to manage time. I think all of this you only understand when you go to office. कि सुबह उठना है, इस टाइम तैयार होना है, इस टाइम ऑफिस पहुंचना है, ऑफिस में इतने घंटों में काम खत्म करके ही वापस आना है, राइट? क्योंकि आप ऑब्वियसली वंस यू गो आउट ऑफ ऑफिस, आप एक ट्रैवल टाइम है आपका, फिर आप घर चले जाओगे, यू विल नॉट ओपन द लैपटॉप अगेन, So I think that comes in only and only that discipline comes in your life when you go to office, and discipline is a basic discipline, right? Is very important for everyone.
Okay.
That's
Would love to
what.
sort of quickly sort of understand your point of view on this
Yeah,
as well.
somehow my perspective is also similar to her. Especially for the freshers who are actually or who are about to start their career, or maybe they may have spent year or two in different organizations. Uh, जब आप लोग काम स्टार्ट करते हो तो इट्स नॉट अबाउट राइटिंग द कोड, इट्स अबाउट केयर हाउ एग्जैक्टली द अदर पीपल हैव help them to write a better code. एक हो गया. दूसरा जैसे what's is mentioned like during break time they can learn a lot of things as well. Senior से सजेशन लेना, उसको कैसे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना है, ऑल देयर आर नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स एंड ऑल. और सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट मैं जो समझता हूँ, अगर आप साथ में अपने कलीग्स के साथ काम कर रहे हो ऑल, एक डिफरेंट तरीके का बॉन्डिंग बनता है. आई विल टेल यू लाइक how exactly we have divided our pod. हम लोग जैसे like if you ask me the large organization, they have divided complete technology team into a small pods. Like say for example, buyer side is a one pod, seller side is another pod, new car is another pod. Like, and every pod is actually being headed by the leader like us. I'm just right now I'm heading new car business here. तो और फर्दर उसको भी जैसे न्यू कार के अंदर भी ना मल्टीपल स्मॉल ग्रुप्स बना हुआ है कि लेट्स से एक बंदा होगा सिर्फ CMS में काम करेगा, एक बंदा CRM में काम करेगा, एक बंदा कस्टमर फ्रंट एंड में काम करेगा, एक बंदा बैक एंड में काम करेगा नॉल. तो हमने उसको कैसे केवल एक ग्रुप बनाया हुआ है. लेट्स से सबसे स्मॉलेस्ट पीपल, जैसे स्मॉलेस्ट मतलब ग्रुप जैसे 5 बंदा है, एक बंदा फ्रंट एंड में होगा, एक बंदा बैक एंड का होगा, एक बंदा QA होगा और एक बंदा उसमें
अगर ये सब लोग घर पे
टेक्निकल
होंगे
टेक्निकल
तो
प्रोग्राम मैनेजर
कैसे
होगा.
काम करेंगे,
They don't
right?
get to
And
learn
this
from
is
each other, right?
this concept is very similar to an services company, right? The small team working on one project. So it is a bigger product broken down into
And I think-
small modules.
Absolutely. And I think इसमें प्रॉब्लम ये है कि as a developer we assume that our job is to write code.
राइट कोड
है ना, मैं घर में बैठ के लिखूँ या ऑफिस में बैठ के लिखूँ, कोई फर्क नहीं है, मेरे को कोड ही लिखना है. बट आई थिंक द डिफरेंस हियर इज दैट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इन द एंड वी आर सॉल्विंग प्रॉब्लम्स. We are working on projects, we are solving problems. And writing code is a part of it. If you are in office, you potentially will be part of that brainstorming. You will understand why this problem is important. What is the solution that we are thinking of? Rather than just writing code to solve that problem, you will be part of all that conversation, which actually helps you get much better as a leader, as
Right.
eventually sort of grow into career.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you can just code, but that growth sort of gets limited.
Because you can't code your entire life.
Yeah.
And you would want to do that.
No, I think like in the end, it's very, very important that we sort of are able to grow from all the other aspects, because a lot of times people who tend to get into tech might not even have taken that decision, right? Like by default, engineering college के बाद mostly job जो है वो tech में होने वाली हैं, so you will end up sort of getting into tech. And as soon as you sort of experience working with other people from different domains, you might realize that is a better domain for you, right? And then you might be able to move into that. So let's come to the last topic that I want to talk about, right? Again, something that almost everybody is worried out there, that market में jobs ही नहीं है, right? Like right now, if we, and I would say it's a worry that is true in the sense that campus recruitments are down to a certain level. So from your company's point of view, and if you have any general sort of idea as well, where do you see this going? Like, do you expect this to get better in some time? Do you think this is the new reality? What exactly is going on? Like, what's the feel around that?
The market was expected to be much better towards the last quarter of last year, and we thought that this year is going to be booming for this industry, but we again see a very much slowdown into the first quarter, where we see the slowdown impact from last year coming, right? Okay. But my personal perspective, what I understand is the jobs are there in market, but yes, very limited roles. The companies, like last 2 years, I would say 1 year back, are not hiring insanely, because when they start hiring insanely, they have seen what has happened, that you hire insane and then you fire insane, right? Yeah. So none of the companies want to get into that mode, because there are a lot of things going onto the international level, like the wars, a lot of things, right? So that makes the market very unstable. So the companies do have the roles, but they are not opening those roles at one go. They are gradually hiring for
They're being
these
more cautious.
roles.
They're
Yes,
being more cautious.
and that is one of the reasons that the campus hirings are not there, because the companies want to, because when you go for a campus hiring, it's altogether a different ball game, altogether a different commitment that you give as an organization to the campus, right? So that's one of the reason, and companies preferring to hire freshers the other way, right? Maybe from direct walk
So I
in
think
or
like just want to add one more thing here, right? Like a lot of times this qualitative feel
yes,
that things are not well, jobs are not there, I think is the best way to get out of this fear is to look at data.
yes,
Right? So when I'm saying, if you just, so Naukri.com, every month they release something called JobsPeak, which is basically a report on how different sort of industries are doing in hiring. If you will look at IT industry, they are down close to 30-35% compared to last year. So that puts one thing into perspective, saying that jobs are not there, to saying that 65% of the jobs are still there.
Still there.
Right? So I think that takes away the fear and gives you a little more perspective on things. And along with that, it is actually getting better every month a little bit.
Yeah.
So that sort of tells us that the worst is gone and we are getting better slowly and steadily. And I think it's very important for us to understand, as anybody who is sort of looking for a career in tech, that it's not that jobs are not there. We have lesser jobs. That just means that we need to work a little extra hard.
Yeah,
and
and
get to those
also I
opportunities.
think when you see like the report that you're talking of, when they say ki the tech industry has cut down these many jobs, it is very specific to the tech domain. But there are other domains that are hiring more. And to add on to here, the other domains, I'll talk of maybe health industry or travel industry or financial or banking. They're hiring more people. However, if they're hiring, they also need some technology platform. So it's not like when these segments are growing, they're not hiring for tech. They are, because everyone needs to get online today.
So what you're saying is that overall tech might actually not be down 30-35%, it might be less.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
I would add a few points here. If you see 3 year back data and all, most of the investor and all, they were focusing on more revenue. They were not focusing on profitability. But now if you see the last 1.5 year data, now every you can say investor and all, now they are focusing, they are looking at like whether if they are going to invest in that startup, whether it's Series A, Series B or Series C or whatever, are they profitable or not? If they are profitable, if they are not profitable, what is their burn rate? And how exactly they are going to reduce the burn rate. This is the reason a lot of layoff has been happened from last you can say 1 year. But now if you see the graph has been decreased drastically. Now companies not hiring much. Rather they are focusing on quality hiring. You can say like let's say if I have a requirement of 5 people, I will hire only 5 people, not 6 or 7 or 10 like this one. So earlier around 2 or 3 years ago, it was happening like this one. Whatever the requirement you have, they used to hire 3x, 2x, 3x just to create a scarcity in the market. In the market. So if you analyze the things and all, so what is happening right now? People who are the people who are deserving, who will deserve for the role, definitely they will get the job. That is for sure. So that means the candidate has to look into their skill set versus what exactly the company requirement is. अगर दोनों match हो रहा तो definitely यार मेरी gonna to happen.
No, absolutely. And the fact that you're saying that you still spend 6-7 hours a day working on tech, like hiring, tells us that hiring is still a pain for companies.
Hiring
like
is a
even
big time
for
pain
us,
right now.
we have been trying to hire in technology from some time, and like it's sometimes you don't get the right sort of people with the right sort of. Luckily for us, because we teach so many people, fresher hiring or initial sort of lateral hiring becomes super easy for us. But when we talk about like somebody with 10 years of experience, that sometimes becomes an issue for us as well.
Yeah, I was about to complete one more point here. Like especially for the senior folks who are who are more interested for home, work from home and all. This will also I think here मतलब freshers को तो no doubt this would interact with the more and more with the senior people and all, especially with the senior people as well. This will also interact with the leaders. At the end, they should also you can say lead the people कि कैसे काम करना है, कैसे project execute करना है. For them also hybrid or maybe you can say work from office will be the a right state of tool to get hired for the next organizations.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much. Had an amazing conversation.
Yes,
I think
thank
मेरे को
you
मैंने
again.
बहुत कुछ सीख लिया. Hopefully everybody in the audience, like everybody who's watching, काफी कुछ सीख लिया तुमने भी. And please try and use these things in overall everything that you are preparing for, so that we are able to get to amazing careers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankush. Thank you for calling us. Thank you for
Thank you,
having us
Ankush.
here.
Thank you.